that song. Alright, part 3! Getting a little more comfortable in front of the camera now. Alright, so let's answer some more questions that you have about publishing and the writing process. Eliza1234G asks, how do you find a good ending to satisfy every reader? Ooh, that's a good question. There's 2 points you should think about when it comes to your ending. First, who are your characters? So your characters' decisions, good or bad, will ultimately, that's a hard word, ultimately determine, oh, those are 2 hard words put together, ultimately determine how their personal stories will end. If I have a character who's very stubborn, doesn't learn from his mistakes, he hates other people, he doesn't have any common sense, he's going to have a bad ending, and that's going to be satisfactory, because I don't want to see someone who refuses to change have a happy ending. So a second thing that will determine your ending is also the undertones that you have in the story. So if you are writing a romantic story and you have romantic undertones and you have this beautiful relationship between 2 people, I don't know what this is, then to satisfy your readers, you'll want to put those 2 together. Now, if you've been hinting at some sort of tragedy, like they're getting farther and farther apart, your readers will be waiting for them to fall apart. If you magically have 2 characters that are, I can't do it backwards. Your 2 characters, we'll do this. If you have 2 characters that are going this way, and they're kind of creating their own decisions that get them further away from each other, then your readers are going to expect that they will not end up together, or that some sort of tragedy will happen. If you put your characters together at the end, your readers will be very confused and annoyed. I feel like a lot of writing is subconscious, so the ending you think will be satisfactory is the one in your gut. I know that's kind of a cop-out to answer this question, but if you're struggling between 2 endings, one ending is the ending you think will make everyone happy, and the other ending is the one that makes the most sense, go with the one that makes the most sense. Because even if the readers don't like the ending, they can't argue with the data and the evidence in front of them, pointing them to that ending. What's another question about writing? Reality Sucks 02. Yes, it does. How does one get a book published? Well, first you have to write the book, and that's a whole long process. A lot of it involves mood swings, ice cream, and crying yourself to sleep a lot. But to actually get published, you have 2 routes that you can go. First is the traditional route. You write a book, you find an agent, the agent finds you a publisher, the publisher says, hey, this is great, we're going to change everything, we need you to rewrite the entire book, and so you do that, maybe twice. And then they publish your book maybe in a year or 2. The second route, more popular nowadays, is the indie author route. This route, you write a book, you hire your own editor, you hire your own book cover artist, you hire a formatter, you hire all of the people that your publisher would have hired for free had you gone with them. You hire them yourself, you spend a lot of money, you cry yourself to sleep over that loss of money, and then you find a printer. I use Ingram Spark. You find a printer and then print it yourself. So I went the indie route, and the reason I went the indie route was because of 2 reasons. First reason is time. Life is short, and I want to write as many books as possible, and if I have to go through an agent and a publisher and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, I'm not going to write as many books as I want. Also, if I go through a regular publisher, I release a lot of creative control. And my problem with releasing creative control is that publishers want to make money. And that's okay, that's what a publisher does, they make money. But to make money, they have to write for the market. And I don't really want to write for the market. I don't care what's popular right now. I don't care what might be popular later, which means I will be a broke writer. Growing up, I've been watching the publishing industry very closely, and I notice that the publishing companies like to find books that are related to popular political and social issues, and I don't want to get involved with that. So instead of being dragged into that type of atmosphere, I decided I was going to be indie, and I was going to pay for everything myself, begrudgingly, but that gives me full creative control, and I don't have to worry about anyone telling me to change my stories to fit a market I'm not really interested in reaching out to. So that was my long-winded answer. Jennifer asks, How do you keep characters' personalities and motivation consistent throughout a story? Good question. Before I write a book, I do like a character analysis, and I don't really do like the whole long answer 100 questions about your character thing. I feel like that just takes up a lot of time, and it doesn't get me to the writing process as quick as I want. So I write 5 things about a character. The first thing I write is what is their relationship with their family? Because let's face it, our families screwed us up in different ways. And the families of your characters screwed them up in different ways. That'll be important to your story. The second thing I write is what are their weaknesses? Because their weaknesses are what are going to get tested as the story progresses. The third thing I write is what are some lies that they tell themselves? Whatever lie they believe about themselves or about the people around them. It can be like, oh, everyone loves me, or oh, everyone hates me, or I can trust my best friend, or I can't trust anybody. That kind of sets up their viewpoint for the story, and it also is something that is going to change by the end of the story. The fourth thing I write is what is their biggest fear, because that's the thing that you're going to make the character face in their story. If your character never faces their fears in a story, it kind of leaves the story unsatisfying. And then the last thing I write is their ultimate goal and why. So there are 2 types of goals. You have the internal goal and you have the external. I know how to speak English. So the external goal is the one that everyone sees. It's basically how your character wants to be viewed. And then you have the internal goal, which is basically the why they want to be viewed this way. So if you keep those 2 things written somewhere when you're writing a story and keep them in mind, that should help you through the duration of the entire story. But basically all these people with different motivations and different inward goals and different external goals, they're going to run into each other and it's going to get messy. And we call that a plot. And then last question, Ryan asks, after devising a plot for a book, how do you begin? There is no right or wrong way to begin a story. Whatever scene you have in your head, whatever dialogue you have in your head, whatever character development you have in your head, anything you have in your head, put it on paper. Once you've done that, start any way you want. You can start at the beginning and write linearly. Good luck with that, I can't do it. Or you can start in the middle and go in different directions. The truth is, when you write a rough draft, you don't have everything hammered out, and your book is going to change a lot. You have to write your first draft very loosely because everything is going to change. Your character motivation is going to change, your plot is going to change, maybe your setting changes. So I would say when you're writing a draft and you start a new story, just keep writing, don't go back, don't edit, because you're going to get to the end of your book and realize you want to change a lot of things. Whew. So we made it. If you have any questions about the writing process, myself, or my book, The 5 Princes, you can leave a comment on YouTube or my Instagram. I hope you pick up a copy of The 5 Princes. The story is really fun because there are 5 different endings. You get to choose the ending, and if you hate my endings, there is a space to write your own in the back. And that concludes our author question and answers. Thank you. I'm now going to go eat because I am starving. See you next time. Peace.